I made a promise to myself and to my baby boy that I would not be living a life to please other people from now on. I will not wait to be retired to enjoy my life. From today, I will be living the best freaking life that I can live. You never know what's going to happen in life. Life is precious, and maybe I'm going to be dead tomorrow. Who knows? There's a system behind that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just your environment like that. It's a whole system. The goal of the system is to create good citizens and docile citizens. Freedom is having the ability to decide that tomorrow or Monday I can be where I want, doing what I want without any compromises. We have two lives, and the second one starts when you realize you only have one.
Jeremie, hi, and thank you for doing this. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
I'm excited to hear and to tell your story, an amazing story. And I think one of the things that should be one of the stories that should inspire many people who are going through the 9 to 5 routine to take maybe a leap of faith in one or the other direction. But let's start with the beginning. What's your current location, Jeremie?
So I'm currently in Serbia, in the north of the country, near the Hungarian border. I am nomad, so I move around a lot. We had a quick intro a few weeks ago, and I was in Germany, and now I'm in Serbia. Yeah, so I move around quite a lot.
That's that makes life more interesting, right?
For sure.
Perfect. Okay, then shortly with the beginning, I think most probably 95 of the people on this planet recognize your accent because it's one of the it's one of the clearest accents that exists on this planet. Coincidentally, I had yesterday evening a recording with Perrine, who's also from France, and she's living at the moment in Stuttgart. And I love this. I love the French accent. But please tell us, where do you grow up, Jeremie?
Yeah, so born and raised in France. I grew up in a very small town in the south of France, near Perpignan. Mm-hmm. And when I say a small town, it's like 1,500 people. So yeah, a small village, close to the Spanish border in the south, like an hour away from Barcelona. It's on the coast. Nice. And yeah, I spent the first 18 years of my life there before going to uni a couple of hours away, not too far. I didn't go so far. But it was very interesting growing up in a small town. Nothing in my childhood would have predicted the life that I'm living today.
How was a childhood in a small French village?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It's interesting, right? Like, I think you would have asked me as a younger person this question, I would have answered in one way. But now I had time to reflect on it.
Correct.
So I have a different perspective on that, right? But I think if I bring myself back to like little Jeremie, it was very fun. I mean, small town, that means that you know everyone, you go to school from like 2 or 3 years old to like 14 years old with the same people. So you have friends for like a long time. Again, you know everyone, you can go anywhere in the village because it's just small. I had a good access to nature, a lot of like mountains and hiking trail and cycling trail, stuff like that all around. So a lot of like freedom, like, yeah, I could do anything that I wanted. I was very free to go wherever I want because it's safe, right? Everyone knows each other, so you don't have to worry about things happening when in this kind of environment. So that was quite fun. Now, if I put myself in my shoes today and with more perspective, the answer is a little bit different in the sense that I grew up also in a place with what I would call like a small town village mindset, kind of a little bit narrow-minded and close to the world and not very open to the world. I grew up in a place with a lot of racism, with a lot of homophobia, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not something that I realized back in the day, but now I'm aware of it.
It's so interesting because you're saying this. I realized more and more that it's somehow the pattern of a small place, right? Because I have this
Yeah.
I want to say I have a similar story, but it's not similar. I grew up in a small village in Romania, but I have these things of the small thing. Like you have the homophobia, you have the bit of racism here and there on different things, not necessary on one specific kind of, but everyone who's different from the big group.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, did you had, Jeremie, the spirit of community in the small village? Like you had the feeling that like there is that saying in English that you need a neighborhood to raise a child. Was that feeling that everyone in the area, in the village, knew you and knew exactly who your parents are, and if you did something wrong, they were telling your parents and so on?
Yes, 100%. I could go even further than nice. Like even the teacher at school, they're friends with the parents. So like if you do something wrong at school, you got a teacher coming to your house on the evening saying like, hey, by the way, he did that today, stuff like that. So yeah, everyone knows each other. And about the community aspect, yeah, my parents were working, 9 to 5, normal job.
Exactly.
So I was also spending a lot of my time with my grandparents because they were living in the same village, for my grandparents, all of them. So I spent a lot of time with them also, like after school or when you are like summer break or stuff like that. But yeah, like you can, like every single neighbors, I see them as relative, like some sort of family. I could literally go and knock at the house of my neighbors unannounced and have food, have a drink, have whatever I wanted. It's just like everyone is my friend and family.
It's crazy, all right. So you could knock off on the door and say, "Okay, I'm hungry. My mother is not home. Can you give me like a sandwich or something?" And there was absolutely no issue, right?
No, yeah, it's normal.
That's something that was nice, I have to say, and I kind of miss it today. Kind of,
yeah. Things are different those days.
Absolutely. What were your dreams growing up in France?
Interesting. It's interesting because my dreams was not to live the life that I'm living right now, because I didn't think that was an option to me. So I didn't even dream about it. I remember like when I was a kid, like quite young, I wanted to be an astronaut. And then at some point I wanted to be an architect. And then I wanted to be, what's the name? The guy finding like dinosaurs and stuff like that. Archaeologist, I think it's called.
Archaeologist,
Yeah. So I wanted, I had my dinosaur face at some point. And then eventually, I think I wanted, but because also I was told that was a good thing, I think I wanted to just be like an engineer and work on computer, whatever that meant, without much detail about that. But yeah, I never had any intention about traveling or about, I don't know, having my own business. My dreams were fairly reasonable in a sense that I was not encouraged by my parents to dream big, It was more like dream realistic, what's possible for you. Kind of
practicability. Practicability. Yeah, was the 9 to 5 your dream?
Well, it was the only option available. So
absolutely,
in a sense, because what else could I do?
Yeah. No. I'm asking. Yeah. I do like to. I know. I do think we come from the same generation, roughly, right? So before 90s.
Yeah, I'm born in 87.
Okay, 84. Yeah. So we are close to the same generation, absolutely. And I have to say, this is exactly the thing. Like that was the only option. There was literally nothing that you can think about except the 9 to 5 dream job that you can have, and then drive it, and then maybe buy a house and maybe have a family, and that's it. Done.
Exactly. And also to go even further is because around me in my close circle, my close family and my parents' friends and stuff like that, no one was also doing anything different than that. So I didn't have any like role model anywhere near showing me that that could even just be an option. So
Correct.
yeah, it's like I'm just gonna do what everyone else is doing, right? Because
Correct. Absolutely.
that must be the way.
So you finish high school at home?
Close to, yeah, like an hour away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went to university. What have you studied?
I studied computer science. Yeah, I didn't go too far. I went 2 hours away this time, so I wasn't too far from home. Still in the south of France, but yeah, I studied computer science for like the first 2 or 3 years, and then I specialized in robotics and software development applied to robotics.
A really interesting topic.
Yeah, I thought, well, funny was fun, if I'm being honest, you know, like we get to work with our robots and stuff like that. And also, I picked this line of study strategically because I knew at the time that it was going to be good for my future, right? It was a good investment. It was like a good path to pick. And it was decided, you know, following advice of people in my family and stuff like that. Like that would be a good move. And I was good at it. I was good at school. I'm more like my brain is more science than anything else. So it was a good match also with my abilities and skills. So yeah, I didn't pick it out of passion. I've never been a coder who loves to write line of codes and just geeking out, developing software and stuff like that. Like I wasn't the case. A lot of other students in my class were like that. I was not one of them. I picked that out of practicality and strategy more than passion. But
like everyone back then, everyone was doing the same. Whatever can bring you more money when you can get a job. That was the only goal, right?
You know what's interesting? I'm thinking about that because you say that is that this is something that you don't always remember things when you're young, but this is one of the things that I really remember like it's yesterday, is my dad telling me 100,000 times throughout my childhood, be good at school so you get to work in an office on a computer as an engineer. That's the goal. That was like, for my dad, me doing that would mean like I made it. Because he and his dad and my other granddad, they all worked in construction. So they were like working outside, very physical, tiring work, and they didn't want that for me, which I understand. And back then, yeah, it was like become an engineer, work in an office on a laptop, sitting all day. That's like you've reached the pinnacle here.
It's that's absolutely the dream heaven, and there is nothing above that. For me, I have to say that the actual expression was learn, be good at school, and try to be someone.
Oh, interesting.
And this is something that I have to say it's something that was said a lot in our generation. And my generation, at least in Romania, and I have a lot of friends who got told exactly the same, because they were all coming from the communist Romania. They were all working in factories, and they were all on the same level.
Yeah, interesting.
And they were saying actually exactly like what your father was saying, but with different words, because they were saying try to be someone so that you get out of that flat world that they were, flat society that they were living in.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's not even in a sense of become famous. It's just become just standing out of the mass because everyone is the same. And yeah, that's very interesting.
Exactly. It's not because I know when you say someone is like becoming famous in the words of today, but it's not that. It's just like get out of the mess. So interesting because it somehow means the same. It's so interesting that similarities was in different cultures the same, but expressed different, of course. You said you studied 2 hours away from home, so that means you went back and forward. So you moved completely out of your home.
Yeah, I moved. I had a small studio apartment, and I was going back like at the beginning every weekend. And then eventually a little bit less, when you get friends and girlfriends or whatever, like you go back every 2 weeks and every 3 weeks. But yeah.
and you learn to manage the stuff that you get from home, because in the first weeks you don't know how to manage that. After 2 days you have no more money.
Yeah, and laundry and food and everything, right? So,
exactly. There was a rule. The first 2 days you have money, the next 2 days you have the food, the last day was hunger.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
I have to say that one of the best lessons that you learn as a student is managing your own everything. Like, you have to go and live alone, even if you do it only under the week first, because you realize that nobody's cleaning your apartment, nobody's washing the dishes, nobody's there to broom your apartment. You have to wash your clothes, you have to wash everything, and you have to manage the things that you have to get to be there for the whole week. And that's a lesson for everyone.
And also, like, on this talk, because I think I didn't realize at the time, but I think it became a valuable skill now as an adult. I also went to boarding school during high school. So from Monday to Friday, I was sleeping at school and only going back from the weekend. So actually, I kind of stopped living full-time at home from the age of like 14, 15 years old. So quite young, I was already gaining some sort of independence on this side. So I've learned very quickly, and from a very young age, to be by myself or figure things out by myself, because I didn't have mom and dad all the time with me. And I think that became a very valuable skills that I developed over time, and that's useful those days for different reasons.
Absolutely. How did you get to Australia? During studies or after studies?
During. So that was during my first year of master degree. During the first year, we had to spend the second semester working in, like, doing like an internship, basically, So when you go and work somewhere for 5 or 6 months, and we could pick whatever we wanted. We could pick a company nearby that could hire us in the future, or we could go abroad. It was very open. It's like, as long as you find something related to your study, go for it. And it's very funny because to this day, and I mean, that was in 2010, so, it's 15 years ago we're talking about, I still don't fully know how I ended up in Australia. Like, I've always thought about that very hard. Like, it sounds silly, but the only interest at the time I had about Australia was I love rugby. Like,
I wanted to say.
I am a huge rugby league fan, and Australia is like the mecca of rugby. And that's probably the only thing that I knew about Australia, obviously with kangaroo and koala bear. Like, but nothing else. Like, it's not like I have, I don't know, posters of Australia in my bedroom or anything like that. But what I knew was that I wanted to learn English. I know that was a skill that I had to acquire. Working in tech and computer science, learning English was like a necessity. And learning English in France is not possible. Like, you need to go abroad. I strongly believe that when you want to learn language, you need to just go somewhere and figure it out. So my options was like England, the US, or Australia, I guess. And I picked Australia. And the reason I ended up going there was another student in the year above me went to Australia the year before. So I asked him, like, how did you end up going there? Do you have any contact that you could share with me? So we shared a contact, I had an interview, and yeah, everything was approved quickly. So basically one day, I didn't tell my parents first. I just applied for a bunch of internship. And when I got the yes, I went home and I was like, so, this internship, I've got something in Australia and, like, I'd like to go there. And somehow they said, yes, sure. Again, I have no idea why, like, when I think about it.
Like, that is a small surprise. I'm going, like, here, close by. Like close by.
28 hours away.
With an airplane.
Yeah. You're not on the globe, like, over there, like on the other side, like there.
So basically, if you jump here really hard, I could feel you on the other side.
Yeah. Like,
I want to say rugby, Jeremy, because I know I'm a rugby fan.
Oh,
I know it's not normal for Europe and not coming from France or Ireland
yeah.
or UK or Wales. But I grew up. I don't know if I sometimes I don't know if I should also share stuff, but I find it interesting.
Of
I
course.
was in my last year of high school, and you have that the last exam that you have to study for. It's called, I think in Romania it's called, like in French, I hope it's called baccalaureate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not,
Exactly, it's the same name because I think we took actually the schooling
right.
system from France. And I had to learn for that. And the Rugby World Cup was happening in New Zealand, and the
Mhm.
games were in the morning while my parents were at work. My mother will watch this, and she will know why now. Why? And instead of learning for the exams, I was watching all the games, and there was a commentator, because this was, I find interesting. There was a commentator who explained during the games. They explained the rules, which
Right.
made the sport even more interesting for me.
Yeah.
And 2023, I was in Lille because there
Mhm.
was the 2023 was the World Championship in France, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the World
Yeah.
Cup.
2
Yeah,
years ago. Yeah.
exactly. I was in Lille because Romania played Togo in Lille,
Mm,
and I was at the
nice.
game. Yeah, so
That's
rugby
cool.
really interesting, and yes, Australia and New Zealand for sure, the mecca of that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. But I don't have like any deeper answer than that. Honestly, it's very funny when you think about it, because like I've never, the fact that I decided to go there and the fact that my parents said yes is crazy, because like my parents never had a passport in life. We never traveled anywhere when I was younger, and yeah, they've never been outside of Europe, anything like that, or anyone else in my family for that matter. It's not just my parents.
It's so interesting.
So
It's so interesting
yeah,
that they had the open mind to say, yeah, you know what, just go.
yeah,
It's interesting.
because also like when I think about it, I was so naive. I just asked, having no idea how much it would cost or anything like that. Like I just, yeah, I was just like a little young brat thinking like, hey, I want to go to Australia, mom and dad, can we go? And it's not like they're rich or anything. Like it's not, yeah, it's crazy when you think about it.
So and you get the okay, then you did all the preparation, you took the flight. How was the yeah, exactly the flights, most probably back then, because there was no direct flight. Even today it's harder, but there are 1-2 direct flights from Europe already.
Yeah, no,
so.
I did like Toulouse, London, Dubai, I think,
Dubai or Doha.
and then Dubai, Sydney. The funny thing from this plane was I didn't speak any English. Like it was a total adventure going there. My English,
Like any English.
very, 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 very little, like barely any. And I was sat on my seat, and it was time for food. The hostess came with the trolley, and usually you have the choice of like 2 meals, right? And she said blah 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 in English. I have no idea what she said. The only word I understood was chicken, so I said yes, chicken. I know what that is. Get me that. And she gave me this splash of like chicken with spinach and stuff like that. I didn't eat much vegetable back in the day, so like spinach, I was like, fuck, like wrong choice. That's all I understood. Yeah. And
Okay.
then I land in Australia. I go through custom and everything. Somehow I got into a taxi. I go to my hostel. I had booked a hostel for 1 week. And then my goal was during this week to find an accommodation somewhere for like the 6 months. And same, I arrive in this hostel at like 6 a.m. in the morning, completely exhausted after a 28 or 30-hour flight, having like no clue where I am, or like being so overwhelmed by everything. And this young guy at the hostel, because usually hostel employ like volunteers or whatever, right? So like it was probably like in his young early 20s or whatever, starts speaking to me in Australian, like with his accent so quickly, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a very long 6 months. I have no idea what you told me. Like I just don't know what you said. And I was like, because we didn't have Google Translate also back then. It was 2010. I had an iPhone. like the iPhone 3GS, I think it was, but
I have to say, nice
yeah.
on the iPhone, but still useless in back then.
Yeah, we didn't have like Google Translate was not as practical as now, where you can like literally have a full conversation with someone. Yeah, it was crazy when I think about it.
What was your first impression about Australia? Of course, let's skip the language part. You managed to get in the hostel. Then you went out. You slept for the next 2 days most probably, and then
Yeah. Well, I didn't sleep at night because I was jet lagged, but during the day I was exhausted at my internship, so that was fun. I think I arrived on like, I don't know, like a Friday. On the Sunday I was in the stadium watching the game already. I was like, yes, I made it. Priorities, yeah, that was my. Yeah, I literally went to a stadium like 2 or 3 days after arriving to see a game. And my first impression was actually very interesting. It's a good question because I was amazed by the size of the city and everything, because I've never been to like such a massive cities apart from like Paris, but it felt different because of the language and the culture and everything. But also now looking back at it, I realize how narrow-minded I was in terms of like, when you're in a big city, you see any sort of people, right? In terms of how they look, what they do, like it's you got a melting pot of anything from any shade of the spectrum and whatever. And I remember being very like, what is this guy wearing? What is this guy doing here? Like, I remember seeing people in the park doing some sort of like tai chi or movement. And I was like, what the hell are they doing, those people? Like, doing some weird stuff, like being like, those people are crazy. Yeah, that was my first impression, to be honest.
But I think that's the huge difference, right? Between a small community and a small city, and then going to a big community, we have a lot of people, a lot of ideas. There are people more open minded and so on. I think that was the big impact that hit you, like seeing everyone living their life free and enjoying it. How did you met your future wife there?
So I found an accommodation after a week. So I moved in this apartment, and it was an apartment with 6 other people. So it was 4. There was 1 bedroom with 4 women, 4 girls, and 1 bedroom with 3 guys, and I was one of them. So it was like 7 of us. Very fun, from like everywhere, like Brazil, Sweden. There was another French girl, Germany. Yeah, it was like everything. And I moved there. And then a week later, this English girl came through the door to visit the apartment, to check it out, to maybe move there. And what's funny is that she came in and she was like, "Hi, I'm Rosie." And I was, "Hello, my name is Jeremie," with my very good French accent. And she made me repeat my name 4 times. She couldn't get it. So eventually she just said, "Oh, okay." She went to the bedroom and asked the other girl, "What is his name?" Yeah, that was the first time we met.
So now I understand how your English got better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you practice a lot. Let's say it like this.
I did,
that.
Yeah. I did, yeah, in every possible way. Yeah.
That's really really funny. Really funny. I have to say, you stayed there for 6 months.
Yeah.
Have you came back together?
Yeah. So I was there until the end of summer, but she was gonna leave at the beginning of the summer, and we started to like flirt or whatever around like May. So we were like for like a month or 1 or 2 months together over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she was about to leave, we had a discussion, like, I mean, I know you're going away, but I kind of like you, and you kind of like me. So what can we do? Because I mean, she was going back to England, I was going back to France. She she had to finish her degree and I had to finish mine. We both had an extra year. So it was like, is that going to work? Like the whole long distance relationship stuff. And we said, well, let's try it. Let's give it a shot. So I spent summer in Australia while she went back to the UK. And at the end of August, when I came back, she came for 2 weeks in France to visit me. And it's funny, like she told me many times, she was terrified. She didn't know if after 2 months I was going to show up at the airport to actually pick her up,
For the young people watching this, for the really young people, there was no WhatsApp. There was no possibility to,
we had Skype. We were talking on Skype, but that was it.
On PC Skype.
Yeah.
On PC, important to say. And they talked and they said, we meet in 2 months at 7 p.m. in the airport in Paris.
and let's hope you come.
Exactly. That's funny. I think it's so I keep doing this, but I think it's so hard to understand for someone who only knows these times that we are living at the moment, where you are in permanent communication, how it was back then to go apart and then talk to each other and said, okay, we meet on the 17th of August, 2 p.m. the plane will land, so you have to be there.
It was a different world. And we had that was the beginning of Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. So you could have some form of text, but nothing was on the phone really. Everything was on the PC. So as soon as you left home, and it wasn't a roaming, right? So as soon as she landed in France, her phone was a brick, useless. But I did pick her up, so that was good.
So you met the 2 weeks. I do get that your relationship went further and you finished both the degrees. Then you moved together.
We moved together in Paris after we both graduated. So we graduated basically in August 2011, so 1 year later. And in 2 weeks I got a job quickly in Paris. We picked Paris because we thought, I didn't want to move in England, if I'm being honest. That was not an option.
If I compare Paris with London, every day of the week would be Paris. So I'm sorry. I have to agree with you here.
The deal was you're going to come to France. I'm not going to England. But she was obviously more than happy to live in Paris, right? So it wasn't I had to convince her too much. So I got a job very quickly. We moved to Paris. We got an apartment together. We lived in Paris for 1 year. And after 1 year, I was sick of Paris because I'm from the south. I need the sun. I need the warmth. I need my south of France vibe. And Paris is very different from that. And it was July. I hadn't seen the sun for 3 or 4 weeks. I was I need to get out of here. I can't stay there. So I looked for a job in the south of France. And a few months later, we moved to south of France.
Was she speaking French already?
She started learning. When she moved, she didn't speak a word of French at all, nothing. The first 2 weeks of my parents were very fun because my parents don't speak any English, they didn't speak any French, so that was a whole thing. Let's say that we had a lot of wine. That helped a lot to communicate.
So you talked a lot, that's why my hands are really hurting from all the talking that I've done.
So that was fun. But no, she started to learn French in Paris, going to some classes. She was also doing some babysitting, a bunch of stuff to learn French here and there. And she learned on the go eventually.
How did you feel the life as a young couple? Living the dream, basically. Both of you finishing the degrees, you having a good job. Most probably she on the way of getting a good job because she was also in the same direction. How did the life felt?
So it's interesting because everything was good and we were very happy because we were, what I would say, checking the boxes, right? You were exactly. Making it. We were on a good path, right? Everything was working perfectly. So
living the dream, absolutely.
From this perspective, everything was good. What's interesting though is that I was set we are very different, and we grew up with very different education and beliefs and stuff like that. She grew up in a very free environment, like free spirit. Her parents told her, do what you want, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what you study, it doesn't matter your job. All you have to do is be happy in life. She traveled a lot. She was way more open-minded than I was, and stuff like that. So she was not like pushy, but she would have liked to travel the world after studying. And I was like, no, I need to get a job. Like, that's the right thing to do. I got my degree now. Now it's time to get a job and get paid and start this amazing career that I'm going to have. So yeah, but for her, moving to Paris was an adventure and was traveling. So she was happy with that anyway, because, she kind of got it. But if we would have listened to her, and it's funny now, again, living the life that we live now, we would have been doing that 15 years ago. Which is funny.
Yeah, so she was actually not questioning, because questioning maybe sounds really in a negative way, but she was also she was always already saying that maybe this is not the thing that we should do.
Yeah, that was not, for her, it wasn't a thing that you should be doing, no. Like her parents have always been doing businesses and stuff like that. Like I said, like she never grew up with a 9-to-5 in mind and anything like that. So we had a very different belief system and a very different definition of what life should be at this time. And she kind of just followed my way. But yeah, it's funny. We would have done what she wanted. Our life would have been completely different.
You can know that she loved you, and she still loves you, most probably.
For sure. No, for sure. For sure.
I mean, that's clear. It's interesting for me that I do guess that she's around your age, so not the same age, but 88, around your age.
One year younger. Yeah. So yeah.
But it's interesting that in England, you said clear you came from south of France, but still it's interesting that back then somebody was already giving this to his child, like, try to be happy, try not to tick the boxes and check the boxes, try to be happy. It's so interesting, and I see it as a really advanced way of thinking back then, for sure.
No, for sure, and on so many levels, in terms of respect for the people, tolerance, like we talked about racism, stuff like that. She's like complete opposite, like love everyone is great. Like we were like so opposite, and I've learned a lot from her from now. Like, when I was telling all those stories about people in Australia being weird for me, she was telling me, like what, she was always challenging me on what I was saying. And that was like the beginning of me starting to change a little bit also, because she was like, why do you care if this person is, this religion? Or why do you care if this person has pink hair or whatever it is? Like, she was always like challenging me on the fact that I was pointing out different things on people.
It's really interesting. I have to say really good, because at the end you don't have to always have the same opinion about stuff. It's what makes us actually strong together is having different opinion about things and discussing that and challenging each other. And I think that's really something that should be the definition of every working couple, because
it's interesting also you say that, because also you keep saying that we are sort of old, so I'm gonna keep going on that.
I'm not saying old. I try to avoid saying we are old. Please don't do that now.
But on this topic, if you want to feel a little bit old also, it's interesting, because I strongly believe that if we were young now, and we were using all those dating apps to meet, we would never meet, because we would never be a match.
That's interesting.
I find that we have nothing in common. My list of interest and her list of interest don't match. There's nothing there. Like we have completely opposite taste in everything. And we would have never been matched by an application. I find that very interesting.
That's so interesting, but you are so right, because everything that is matching the common interest. And I think what makes us good together is having different interests and having different things that we can talk about and sharing different opinions and stuff, and we don't have to agree on everything. And that's an interesting point.
But that doesn't work with those algorithms, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, so it's funny to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We are not old. I just want to say that, okay? I don't want to admit.
We met in a bar in person. Yeah.
And I went to her and I spoke to her without knowing her. Crazy.
I was drunk, but that's fine.
We were not connected by Tinder. We were connected by alcohol.
Yeah, vodka.
Vodka. You know that commercial with vodka connecting people, making
I had the t-shirt,
We are from the same generation. This is getting bad. This is really getting bad.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's really funny. Okay. I saw it. I was at the coffee place. I was with my wife last year in the US, and I was at the coffee place, and there was a big announcement at the beginning, at the entrance. We have no Wi-Fi. Talk to each other. Pretend it's 93.
Yeah. I mean,
makes sense.
that's the world we live in. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, funny. Jeremie, continuing to tick the box. Have you started in the process of getting your own place? I don't know, building a house, getting a house, and so on.
So we moved to the south of France in 2012, and we started discussing buying an apartment the year after in 2013 because we liked the area. I've got a good job back then, so like things were started to like look promising, and we could see ourselves building a life in this part of France. So yeah, we started looking around in 2013, and we moved into our apartment that we bought in 2014. So yeah, another box check.
And then the next one would have been the kid.
The next one would have been to get married. 2015.
I'm sorry, I skipped that part. I thought it happened before, but thank you.
No, so yeah, 2014 apartment. 2015 we got married. 2016 honeymoon, and just after the honeymoon we started discussing. Well, we didn't start discussing, but we started trying to have a family. And I'm saying not discussing because again, it would have been up to her. We would have started trying much earlier. It's interesting also when you know where the story goes, because I always say my wife should be doing podcasts to share her story because she doesn't like to do that, but she should. But her dream was to be a mom. That was her goal in life. In terms of like career, whatever, doesn't care. Like she never cared about job or anything like that. Her goal was to be a mom. So as soon as we met and as soon as we got serious, it was all right. When are we starting having kid? And I'm not ready. Like this is whoa, like calm down. But yeah, eventually I felt ready, whatever that means. I don't think you're ever ready for it, but you know,
never,
I felt like
never.
Yeah, I was
never.
Okay. I've got my shit together now, so let's try it. Yeah, so we started trying in summer 2016, basically, and we got pregnant very quickly, and also very quickly after finding out that we were pregnant, she had a miscarriage. Like 5 weeks, so yeah, very early on. And
still hard for her as a mom. Absolutely.
Very hard for her, more than for me, to be honest.
Absolutely. And
I didn't understand what he meant. I think, I didn't fully. I was away from work also. I was not even here when it happened, so that was pretty devastating for her. She didn't have me there. She had to go to the doctor on her own and stuff like that, and not a good experience. But also it's interesting because also I think everyone said, like it happens, like miscarriage are very common. Like that's a narrative that like people hear. It's like it happens in 1 every 4 pregnancy and this and that, and at least you can get pregnant, right? So whatever.
That doesn't really help, right?
No, but it is what people say. So we started again very quickly, like a month after, pretty much, because that was at the end of August, like on the last few days of August, and we decided to try again. And I think we found out that she was pregnant again around middle of November, so a couple of months after that. So this time, very different reaction. Like the first time we were like happy, like, oh my God, we're going to be parents and everything. And so this time it's okay, we're just pregnant, but we know miscarriage happened. So we're going to wait for like the 12 weeks to be excited, right? So for the first 12 weeks, it's like kind of like pretending nothing happening, right? She starts to have symptoms and stuff like that, but it's like, let's just try to ignore it and not get too excited. At least if anything happened, we don't get heartbreak and stuff like that. In January, 3 months, we do the scan, everything is good. So now we can let it out. We told our parents, we told everyone, and we start to make plans, we found out it was a boy. So, looking for names, starting to buy stuff. What are we going to do for the apartment? Because it's a small place, blah, 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 blah. And everything was fine until April, at 6 months, roughly. We went for the scan where, they do like all the precise measurement and check like all the size of the bones and if the heart is developing properly and all that, like the very long scan that takes quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So we went for this one, thinking that everything will be fine, right? like every parents do. And the nurse, the doctor, whatever she was, did her thing. And during the whole scan, she was very like serious and quiet. And she told us at the beginning, like, I'm going to be focused. I'm not going to be talking to you much. So, okay, good. Yeah. And then she sat down at the office at the desk, and we could see on her face that something was not right. And she told us, okay, I'm getting numbers here that are not normal. So I'm gonna have to send you to do some more in-depth testing and scans and all that. I'm seeing some issues with like the size of the bones and the heart and stuff like that. So she sent us to a cardiologist. She sent us to a specific department at a hospital to have more tests and stuff like that. So we came back home like devastated, not knowing what was going to happen and what was going on, but also being terrified and understanding that there was something wrong, but without fully understanding what. And we ended up doing, I don't know how many doctor appointment within like 72 hours. Like the day after, we went to see someone, then someone else. And very quickly, they basically gave us a diagnostic that our baby had this very rare condition. They were suspecting that it was a genetic disorder. At first, it was just suspect because obviously they had to do genetic testing, but they were like, we are highly confident that there is this genetic disorder, which is affecting the growth of the baby, but also, most importantly, it's affecting his heart, it's affecting his lungs because his rib cage is not developing. And yeah, basically they gave us a whole bunch of information. They told us that the chance of survival at birth would be very minimal. And if he survived birth, he would have to go through heart surgery as soon as he was born. And he would have to have many, many surgery for the first 2 years of his life to fix a long list of things that was not fine, basically. But yeah, they basically told us that the chance of having a baby that would live would be close to non-existent. So grateful that it's happened in France, and we were given the option if we wanted to terminate the pregnancy, if we wanted to. So it was obviously up to us. So that we obviously took time, and we looked at the situation and all the information that we had, and we decided that it was the the best thing, if I can say, for us and for him to end the pregnancy, because there was just too much on the plate to not do that. So yeah, that's a decision that we took. It is what it is. I don't expect people to understand or whatever, but like, we thought it was the right thing. So that was for me, like, this decision of like signing the paper was the hardest decision that I ever had to take in my life, and I think it will be forever. And yeah, that was. I didn't know back then, but that was the beginning of obviously a very dark period, but also it was the beginning of a huge transformation that would occur following this tragic event.
I have so many questions. I want to say something because you just mentioned something really important, Jeremie. And I want to start with this. You mentioned the fact that you are lucky that you are in France, and you are able to do the decision. And maybe for everyone, considering or living in a country where not even medical abortion is allowed, this would be something to think about, because you took not a hard decision, no, an impossible decision. You took a decision between pain now or pain later. That's the only decision.
It's like I'm cutting my right arm or left arm. There's no right. Yeah.
Exactly. There is no right decision. You took a decision between pain now and pain later, and I think in this case, and I'm sorry that I have to do this to be the pragmatical son of a gun, but you decided to suffer only the two of you, not the three of you.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And at the end, I consider it not even an egoistic decision. I consider it a selfish decision, because at the end you considered everything and you said, okay, it's a big suffering for us, and I think we have to do this because otherwise we will suffer, all three of us. So there is no other better option.
Yeah.
And this is a good piece of thing, and I wouldn't have thought about it if you would have said, but I think just saying it that you are luckily in France and you are able to take the decision.
Yeah.
I can believe that for you all this period of discussing, doing the investigations and so on was awful, but how was it for Rosie?
So yeah, this period was about 3 weeks long, between like when we first found out and when we had the termination. It was about roughly a month, the entire month of April. And I think this part of the whole thing was as hard as it for both of us, like equally hard, I think. We obviously dealt with it in different way because we're just different people, but it was just as painful as it was for the both of us, as painful as you can get. And we cried a lot. We were angry at the world, like, why is it happening to us? Like, well, you get into some weird thoughts when shit like that happened, to be honest, like, why is it happening to us when we really want a kid, when some people don't want a kid and they have one, and all these kind of things. Yeah, at this point it was a lot of like sadness, kind of like confusion, why this is happening. That was probably the main emotions that were coming up. And then there was the day of the termination that was the most traumatic day ever. We were not told what would happen in detail, and it's probably a good thing, because I don't know if we would have, like, this one thing, like, ignorance is bliss in a way. That was kind of it. But yeah, this kind of day, and I don't even want to describe it because it's gonna stay in this room. But that was traumatic. That's how I would describe it. It was just traumatic for her, for what she experienced in her body, and it was traumatic for me to see my wife going through that. So that's where I think the emotion started to be different for the both of us. She was experiencing something in her, and for me it was the pain of seeing her this way. And that's where we started to like feel differently, and I think internalize everything in our own way based on the situation.
Did you took time off work, Jeremie?
Yes, again, thanks to the French system, I had something like a month off, which, I mean, in a grand scheme of things, is not so much, but she had 4 months, I had 1. But yeah, I was able to at least be there during this entire time and for a little bit, not for as long as I would have liked, but yeah, I was able to. It's funny, I remember going to the doctor actually when that happened, like before the procedure, and there's nothing in place for the dad when there is any birth complication, pregnancy complication. And I was like, I don't care what you write on your piece of paper. Just, I'm not going to go to work now. So just say that I'm not fine. Like, I don't care what it is, but I'm not going to go to work.
I want to kill someone, basically.
So,
you can say whatever you want.
Just like, give me a piece of paper saying I'm not going to go to work. I'm not fit to work because, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I was able to take about 4 weeks off to be present, which, I mean, when you go through that, you have no idea what you get yourself into. But like the day after, I had to go to the town hall in the village to declare the birth and the death at the same time, and
fucking bureaucracy.
And get all the paper because I need the paper for the funeral. And everything has to be done in like 48 hours. And then I had to go to like the funeral house and pick a fucking coffin and a box for the ashes and all that. And the woman like, which one do you want? The blue one or the pink? Like, do you really think I give a shit, lady? Like, what the thing look like? Like, do you... And you pay thousands of euros for that because I can tell you it's fucking expensive to do a funeral. Even the size don't matter, like even if it's a baby or what, like, yeah, but the whole thing.
Someone is asking, which one do you want? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you get a catalog.
Hit you.
Like you got a catalog with like all the, like, do you want a flower or do you want a dove or do you want a teddy bear? Do you want a blue or pink or do you want a coffin like that? And now you can choose everything. It's like, do you really think right now I want to like customize my fucking?
So this money making machine in this world is fucking unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
How can you use that pain to make money? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for going to, but
no, it's crazy. It's I didn't know about it. I mean, that was obviously my first time, organizing a funeral, and luckily my mom and my dad was there with me at the place. But it's like, yeah, is that a joke, really? Like, are you fucking serious right now?
It's crazy. Jeremie, how, it could be a stupid question, but how long was the grief and when did the reconstruction started?
I can answer the second part. The feeling better started about 8 to 9 months later, like 2018. So that happened in May 2017. Reconstructions, feeling better started the year after when we moved to Miami because we had a new environment and that was good for us. How long was the grief? I don't know. Years. Years, yeah, a long time. Anywhere between 3 and 5 years, I would say, probably something like that, to actually like come to the point where you accept what happened and you're like at peace with you. Like, yeah, years.
Jeremie, why Miami? Just to be somewhere else, or did Miami had a reason behind it?
So the universe was aligned for basically with my job. We had discussion. I was working for a French company, a French startup in the south of France, and they wanted to open an agency, like an office in the US, in Miami. And we had a discussion even before the pregnancy of me going there if that was happening. So that was a discussion. That was an option. That was a card on the table. That wasn't like official yet, but it was an option for us. And when this happened, Obviously, everything was on hold with me and stuff like that. But towards the end of the year, in November, after 6 months of very just dark, challenging depression, everything. After 6 months, my wife, Rosie, said, I need to get out of here. I cannot be in this apartment anymore. I have too many memories, too many things that are just killing me right now. So I need to move. So the question was like, we either go to Miami if it's an option with work, or fuck everything and we don't know what we do, but we're moving. We're going somewhere. So when she told me that, I basically called my boss, my managers, who I'm still friend with, and I told them. They knew everything that happened, right? They were very supportive and stuff like that. So I was very transparent, and I told them this is the situation. Can we make Miami happen quickly? And if not, I understand, and I'll quit, and I don't know what happened, but we'll figure out. And they were like, just give me a few days. And they called me back and they said, okay, like come to Miami whenever you can and we'll figure it out. So they basically gave me the green light. They took care of all the paperwork and everything. I think the day after we listed our apartment for rent, we listed everything we had on Facebook Marketplace to get rid of as many things as we could. And a month later, we were in a plane to Miami. We made it happen in like a few weeks.
I mean, that's good because you went out, or I would say it in a different way. You took Rosie out from the environment, which was not healthy at all. Man, I don't know, I don't know when is the right time to say this, but I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. And I have to say it. I have to say it, even though I knew the story before. It's not easy. And I do appreciate the fact that you are able to talk about it and maybe to share it and to understand whomever is going through this pain that they are not alone. And it's important to know there is you are showing that there is life after this.
Yeah, and this is the reason I'm talking about it. To be honest, like I don't do it out of like to get pity or to get whatever from people. Like I grieve now and I mourn and I'm over it, if you can ever be, in some sense.
Yeah.
But what you said, is very true. It's like both of us, in our own way, we felt very alone when that happened.
Absolutely.
And that could be a whole 2-hour conversation, to be honest.
There is a problem in grief, Jeremie. The problem is that people are feeling not confident enough to call you, to tell you that they are there with you, but they are, because we have to say something different. People are usually calling you when they need something to gossip about, but when they have a problem, when they know you have a problem, it's hard to call you. And even the person who really genuinely care about you guys, it's hard to call you because you have no words for something like this. And sometimes you just have to call that person and say, how are you? Are you okay? Can I help you with something?
Oh, there's so many things that you're saying though, like, so yes, you're right. And I don't blame anyone because it's so hard. Like, what do you say to someone when something like that happens, right? Like, there's nothing good that you can say. So I understand how difficult it is to pick up the phone and to talk to someone in this conversation, because there's nothing that you can say that's going to make me feel better. And you also don't want to say the wrong things, right? It's so complicated. So I totally get it. What was interesting from my own experience also is that the people that did call, family, all worried about Rosie instead of me, because it happened physically to her. And the first thing that people always ask on the phone was like, how's Rosie doing? How's Rosie doing? And that was like hard. It took me a while to realize it, but like, I don't remember when it was, but I had a massive, massive breakdown after like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months in the middle of summer. Rosie went away to see her family and I went to see a friend and we had a few drinks, and I think alcohol bubbled up.
Connecting people.
Yeah, and like in a way, but like it just like ripped me apart, and I had like an explosion of like all the emotions that I've been like keeping for myself or whatever, just like exploded on him and on them. And yeah, that was very messy for a few days, but it just needed to come out, right? I think. But yeah, it's all you can say in this kind of thing is like, I'm here for you, and just cry together. Like there's nothing you can say. Like nothing is gonna make me feel better. Like nothing you can say. So it's just about like, yeah, come and give me a hug and cry with me. That's fine. Like that's all we need at this when shit like that happen.
And that's a really good piece of, if you have someone close to you which is going through something hard, just call and see that you are there if you need a shoulder to cry on, because there is nothing else that you can do. But even that it's important.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for talking about this. I still have we have a lot to cover, but I had to say it now. I really had to say it now.
No, I appreciate it.
Miami, what was so? Of course, Florida is nice. Florida is so I visited Florida not for so long ago, and I want to go again, but not until the 47 president is still there. I will go afterwards. But you went to Miami. You got out of the European mold. You got out of everything what was happening here. You changed the environment. What inner shift started to happen in you both guys while you were in Miami?
So at first it was, just the joy and excitement to be somewhere new, somewhere very different, somewhere beautiful with palm trees and, the ocean. And so I think,
I got this from Florida.
Yeah.
I just want to say.
So I think, at first it was like sort of like escaping what happened. Like at the beginning, we're not going to try to deal with it. We just kind of ignoring
Run away.
Yeah, just to like feel alive again and feel normal again. So like the first, maybe 6 months, was just that, like, oh, let's go visit this and that and go to the beach and just be happy again and smile again after being depressed for 6 months and seeing darkness, everywhere. And then eventually, when we realized that we like Miami, that we're going to be spending a bit of time there, a few years and stuff like that, then it was about, okay, like we're going to have to make friends and build a community and find people and do things. We can't just be tourists for years. So we started to like go to meetups, meetup event, go to community yoga classes, go to parties, go to everything that we could see on like Eventbrite and Meetup and all that. We were like doing things just to meet people, connect with people, and live again and have a sense of normal life and stuff like that. And we were very lucky to meet the people that we needed at this time, I think. And what I mean by that is that we met a community of people that was very healing, very connected to emotions, very into spirituality. We started doing like yoga classes and meditations and sun baths and cacao ceremony and different modalities of meditations, different modalities to like connect with other human being, to move the body, to express your emotion in different ways and stuff like that. And we didn't do that knowing that it would heal us. But what we realized by just going to this event and hanging out with people vulnerable to talk about what they were feeling, that was like unloading. Every time we were like unloading a layer, peeling a layer of whatever darkness or pain that we had. And I think we eventually realized that we're feeling better. Like, life doesn't feel so heavy anymore. And we started to, analyze and like, oh, this is what's happening. Like, it's because we are doing all these things that we are feeling better. So we started to like study a little bit. We studied like trauma and read books, and we understood that the body store trauma and store emotion in our body. And the more you move, the more you do like stuff like yoga and you meditate and you get connected to, different human beings and stuff like that. Like you get the trauma out of your body, and you cry and you let emotions out and stuff like that. And yeah, like we started like studying to understand a little bit what was happening to us in a way, because we didn't understand. Like I remember, especially with Rosie, like every time she was going to a yoga class for a month, she was in tears all the time. Like not of sadness, she was happy. She was going to yoga class and she was just crying, like sobbing. And it was just the body through the movement getting emotions out. But she didn't understand there for ages. It was like, why am I crying again? Like, yeah, it took a while for us to understand the science behind it in a way. But yeah,
I like that you said. I'm sorry for interrupting you,
no, it's like,
Jeremy. I like that you said spirituality, because I think it's important to understand that spirituality is not the same with religion, and spirituality is something that you can find in yoga, in meditation, and it doesn't have to be a single god that we all pray to and give money to. It has to be something that we find inside us. So spirituality is there. It doesn't have to be connected to a church, to a religion, to something else. It's connected to yours. It's when you find the connection to yourself. And I think it's another important thing that it's nice that you address. I liked it.
No, yeah, it's we are not religious at all, and yeah, I think there is a big difference between faith and spirituality, and some people find healing in their own way, right? There's no better way.
There is no correct way. There is no correct way. There is each one's way.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because before that, I don't think I even knew what spirituality mean. Mm-hmm. It was just, I think, I'm gonna speak like we for myself. Like, I moved to Miami with a mindset of like, I'm being given this chance to like start over on many aspects. And by then I was much more open-minded and willing to try different things and curious and stuff like that. And I started like reading different books. I started, I remember downloading, what's the app? Headspace, the meditation app.
It's Headspace, it's Mind. I don't know. There are a lot of apps.
Yeah, it was a Headspace back then. And that was in 2018. And trying to build like a meditation practice. I was going to the beach every morning to see the sunrise and just like trying different things. I was like, you're giving a chance to live somewhere different and build new habit and build a new life. Let's try to do something different. And yeah, I think I'm a very curious person. And the fact that when you're curious but narrow-minded, you don't go anywhere. But now I was curious and open-minded and willing to try things, and that was a good combo, I think.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And that opened the door to a lot of growth, basically. Through my time over there. And yeah, I started meditating like every single day for like 2 or 3 years. I didn't miss a day. I was moving my body. It could be yoga, it could be different things. I was going paddleboarding on the ocean, very connecting with nature, being in the water, all stuff like that. And yeah, and all that healed me, honestly. All that plus being with people in touch with their emotion, being with people willing to cry in front of other people, something that I've never done and before. People also very tolerant and acceptant, not judging us. That was also important. We had all the ingredients that we needed at the right time, honestly. It was, it was life-saving for us.
I want to make a small excursion from the story, Jeremy. I hope that's okay with you.
Yeah.
How did you, for someone who would like to start meditation, I don't finger-point anyone, and it's struggling with that, what would be your advice? How should you start?
I can tell you what I did. I downloaded Headspace on my phone, and I said, you're going to do it for 30 days every day. I tried 1 month. I said myself, I'm not like an all-in person. I know how my brain works. I was like, let's try to do 5 minutes every day. I should be able to find 5 minutes in my day. Like, the whole thing about not having time is an excuse.
That's
And what works for me was doing it first thing in the morning, because I think those days, once you start working and dealing with people, your day can become out of control very easily.
Correct.
But I think between the time that you wake up and between the time that you start doing things for people, either start work or taking care of the kids or whatever, this is the time. I think this is the best time that you can have me time. And that's the time where you can meditate, read a book, do 5 minutes of movement, whatever it is.
Correct.
But yeah, I was like, I'm going to wake up every morning. I'm going to go outside and meditate for 5 minutes. And I did that for 30 days. And I was like, okay, I'm actually, I couldn't explain what was happening, but I could say that I was feeling better. I didn't know why. It was still hard to explain and to understand, but I was like, okay, this is doing something. I'm going to carry on. And yeah, and after those apps are good to gamify. Like you
absolutely.
You don't want to break your streak, and you want to keep going, stuff like that. So it's like a game also, right? I want to keep going. Like I want to go to 365 days, and yeah, but that works. That works.
Absolutely.
No, but the key also is just don't try to overdo it. Don't say I'm going to meditate for an hour every day. That's just unrealistic. You're going to be in pain. Your mind is going to go like 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes every day.
Leave me alone. Yeah.
And start small and just build a habit. And then once you're building the habit of it, then you can go deeper into the real meditation techniques and stuff like that. But what I really enjoy with Headspace is that they have programs that you can do.
Correct.
So there is a beginner pack for 30 days that you could do. And then they have meditation for stress, meditation for grief, meditation for confidence, meditation for this, meditation for that. So you can pick things that, match your need in a way. And also that was helpful, because then if you actually, the only thing I would say is that you're never going to feel that you're getting good at it. It doesn't work this way. It's not like, oh, I'm getting good at that. Your mind is always going to be busy. You're never going to be enlightened, and you're never going to stop your thoughts. It's not the point. Your mind is going to do his own thing. It's going to live his own life. Just sit with it. Just sit, and don't try to control it.
It's interesting.
But over time, you will see a difference.
This is one of the critical things that is happening, because usually you think that you are able to control it, and you say, okay, I'm doing it wrong because I cannot control it. But at the end, that's the idea of it. You are doing it because you cannot control it, and you have to keep it in one way. And of course, I have to come back to what you said, Jeremie. That's an important topic. We are so good at finding excuses. We are so good at saying, yeah, we have no time. I want to do it, but the 5 minutes I couldn't use, but I used my phone for 6 hours today.
I was going to tell you, you tell me you don't have time, show me your screen time on your phone.
Absolutely.
And then we can talk.
Trust me, I know my problems. You don't have to tell me my problems. I know them. I'm so aware of them.
Well, that's step one. That's a good start.
Yeah.
At least you don't lie to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't. That's something I'm not doing anymore. And it's what I'm doing, maybe a bit of going on the side. But I'm running every morning. So that's already good. I go out at 5:30 every morning, so that's I wake up quite early, but then I
would say that's a form of meditation. If you do it without any music or podcast, and it's just either just a sound, nature sound, or nothing. I mean, that's the same. It's just you with your brain and your shit.
Correct. You're right. It's not usually with podcast, with something, or with an audio book, or with something. So. Yeah,
maybe try for the first 5 minutes. Try silence for 5 minutes, and then you put the music on.
Good,
But
good tip.
that can be, at least you don't have to change too much. And
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip. But thank you. It was not for me. It was just for someone I know that is struggling to meditate. It was not me.
It's for a friend.
Jeremie, you were in Miami for
3.5 years.
3.5 years. How long or how much of these 3.5 years you were still working?
All the time.
All the time.
I was employed by the same company during my entire time. And the reason is simple, is because the visa was tied to my working contract. So
US.
that was the only way to live there anyway.
Correct.
Yeah. So it was 3.5 years of being employed by the French American company.
Subsidiary, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What was the trigger of you quitting your job?
It was a mix of two things. On one side, it was, I've been doing the job for 6 years, but at this point, 6-7 years, and I was just kind of getting bored of it. I'm someone who needs challenged and needs new things, and I enjoyed it, but it was very repetitive, and I was not feeling challenged anymore. So that was on one side. I was questioning that. But then on the other side, in Miami, something else that happened is that I met a lot of people living what I would say an unconventional lifestyle. A lot of people traveling around, a lot of people doing jobs that were not traditional 9-to-5 jobs. A lot of people making money in a month than my parents were doing in 1 year. But what I realized though was those people were just like you and me. They were not special. They were not rich. They were not super intelligent. Like, they were just normal people that picked a different path, that went away and invested time and energy and money to learn and invest in themselves and got somewhere. And the fact that I didn't enjoy what I was doing, and the fact that I was seeing people living a dream life, something that I didn't think was accessible for me, really planted a seed in my brain. And I was like, what if I could have that as well? And that was the beginning of all that for me. It's like, oh, I could do it. I could have it. I could have all that.
What was the biggest fear when you quit your job?
The biggest fear was that I would fail building something, and I would run out of money, and I would have to tell my parents and everyone that I failed, and I would be like a loser and stuff like that. That was the biggest fear.
How did you overcome that?
I read a book called The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And in his book, there is an exercise in, I think, the first chapter called the fear setting exercise. He's got a very popular TED Talk about it. And in this exercise, he's telling you, write down your fear, your biggest fear. So basically, what is the worst thing that can happen if that happens? Okay, I quit my job, I travel the world, and I try to build my own business. I lose everything. I can't make my business. I lose all my money. I lose all my saving. What is the worst case scenario? Well, I'm completely broke. I have nothing left. The worst case scenario would be I'll have to go back to my parents and live with them, or Rosie's parents, whoever wants us, maybe both. And the worst case scenario would be I have to go back there. I have to get a job at, I don't know, McDonald's for 6 months to get some money while I apply for like a better job, because obviously I still have my CV, I still have my experience anyway. Like that, no one can take that away from me. So doing this exercise I was like, okay, so the worst case scenario is I go back to my parents, I spend a few months applying for jobs, and then eventually I hopefully find a job and go back to normal life. So ultimately, the worst case scenario was just going back to what I was doing just before. On the other side, the exercise also tells you what is the best case scenario. What can happen if everything goes well? Well, if everything goes well, I get to see the world and travel the world and build incredible memories, and I get to build my own business and make money out of it. And even without being rich, but just making a decent living, and I don't have to work for someone else again. I can have all the freedom that I want and do something that I enjoy doing. So like the upside is that, and the downside, worst case scenario, is just you'll go back to where you were before. And that was liberating because suddenly I realized, well, the worst case scenario is not that bad, right? Like it's actually okay.
I'm living it. I'm living it today.
You know, like I'm basically gonna go back to where I was. Just I'm gonna have to spend 6 months with my parents. Okay, my pride and my ego is gonna be a little bit hurt. I'll get over it. It's fine. I'll survive.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, this I've got nothing to lose here. Like this only, yeah. That was liberating. That was like, fuck it all. I'm doing it.
Correct. Makes sense. Can I ask you, what was your buffer found, not in money, but in months of surviving that you had when you quit your job?
No. I mean, so we were very organized. We basically 1 year before leaving, I told my boss, I'm going to leave in 1 year. And we planned and we saved money for 1 year. So we were very like strategic also about it. Like we were not reckless, right? You can take risks without being stupid. So we did save money and everything. Yeah, no, we realized that if we travel to, you know, South America or Asia, our money could last anywhere between 1.5 and 2 years because life is cheap over there, right?
Makes sense.
And we managed to save something like 20K. So we could live for a while over there. Something that happened though that was not expected is that just when we left Miami, some family drama happened on my side of the family, and we had to support other family member, and we had to give away 13,000 euro out of this. So
at once.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we lost like 60% of our travel stash that we built. We lost. Well, it was a choice. I mean, no one took it from me, but it was to help family. So you know, it was whatever, the right thing to do. But that was a hit.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's interesting. Like, I like the risk taking. I like the fact that the risk taking was not like going directly in the wall. Was a calculated risk taking, which made a lot of sense. Talking about your family, and I particularly ask about your family based on the stories that you told me until now. What was their reaction, Jeremie?
Not great. It was like, why are you wasting your life and career? Like, you spend so much time, you know, studying, and you have a good job, and you're living a good life, and you're making very good money. Like, my salary in Miami was really good. It's like, why are you wasting all that to go traveling? Like, that makes no sense. Like, are you stupid? It created a lot of friction with my family, even to this day. Like, I was very close to a specific family member before that, and since then we've been distant because of it, because he never tried to understand. He just came from a place of like, I'm judging you and I'm telling you wrong. I'm not going to try to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I felt like, well, fuck off. Like, you're not even trying, you know, rather than asking questions, you're just telling me what I should be doing without having an understanding of what's happening. So since then, this relationship has been, not great. My parents didn't. I think throughout my life, my parents never stopped me from doing anything, which I'm really grateful for. I also understand they don't understand my life. They don't understand why I'm living this sort of life. I don't think they understand my choices, but they never ask me about that because I grew up in an environment where we don't talk about feelings, we don't talk about emotions, we don't talk about all that. So they never, I don't think they understand why, but they never stop me also, which at least, that's good. But yeah, even to this day, they don't ask me any question about what I do, about what I'm traveling, about the life I'm living, stuff like that. They just deal with it. And they're, I'm an only child also, so they kind of don't have a choice anyway, but yeah, it's interesting.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting. We have so many similarities in our life. It's so interesting. What's the most misunderstood thing about living the 9 to 5, Jeremie?
About living it?
Yeah.
I think the majority of people just don't think there is any other option for normal people. I think most people think that this is the only options they have available, and that to be able to do anything else, you need to be quote unquote special. And by special, I mean have, more resources than the average people, to have more intelligence than the average people, to have a better network and know the right people. I think most people believe that this is the only way, and they see the world through like a tiny hole, and that's how I saw the world for 30 years, by the way, like that. And they don't see everything else around there. And they think that anything else outside of the 9 to 5 classic traditional path is very risky and very scary and very inaccessible, where it's not easy. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not harder than, going to school for 7 years and getting a master degree or whatever, and getting a job and all that. It's not harder. It's just different.
I'm sorry that it takes sometimes a lot of time to ask the question, but I have so many that I want to ask, and I always have to choose one, and that's a hard process that is going in my mind. In most of the cases, my feeling is that we are living other people's life.
Yes.
Because we are trying to get the acceptance of our parents, of our friends, of our family. We're trying to get them to tell us, wow, you are having an amazing life. How did you get out of this trap?
That is very true. And it's even further, by the way, than what you said. It's just society as a whole. It's not just your parents, your family. Like, there's a system behind that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just your environment. Like, there's a whole system. The goal of the system is to create good citizen and docile citizen, to be a good cog in a machine.
That's
so it's not just the parents. It's not just the parents and the families. They are just a consequence of that. And
they're just playing in the system.
Yeah, but there is something bigger than that behind it. Yeah. How do you? So the cheesy basic answer is that you need to stop giving a shit about what other people think. That's the basic answer. How did that work for me? When something like that happened to you, when you have to deal with death, when you have to deal with losing a child, suddenly you realize, I realized a couple of things. I realized that life is much more fragile and precious than it seems to be. We we spend our life believing that we have tomorrow, that we have next week, that we have next month, next year. We believe that we are going to retire. We believe that we're going to be 65 one day and that we will be able to finally enjoy life. Just like we believe that when you're pregnant, you have a baby at the end. But, I had to face a different reality. And that changed a lot of my way I process things. And I realized that you can plan anything that you want. Life is going to do what the hell it wants. You never know what's going to happen in life. Life is precious, and maybe I'm going to be dead tomorrow. Who knows? And I made a promise to myself and to my baby boy that I would not be living a life to please other people from now on. I would not be living a life. I will not wait to be retired to enjoy my life. Like from today, I will be living the best freaking life that I can live. And I will live not like every day like it's the last, because that's just stupid. But, I will do my best to live life now, because I have no idea what's going to happen. Like I expected to be a 30 years old dad, and I wasn't. So I can't expect to retire at 65 and travel the world. I have no idea what's going to happen between now and then. It's very far away. So, I just made this promise to myself, and through that, I was like, I'm not going to listen to what people want from me. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Like, this promise that I made to myself and to him is more important than what you can think of me, that what my parents think of me, that the stranger think of me. And by the way, we spend so much time giving a shit about what people think of us when they are worried about themselves. They don't give a crap about you.
They give a crap about you as long as they can gossip something about you and talk something bad about you, and that's it.
So yeah, that was my process. I realized that it wasn't worth it. Like, I just don't care. Like, you don't like me. You deal with it. Like, it's on you, not on me. Like,
absolutely.
And yeah, I had to have a very bad wake-up call to realize that. But I also think it's not easy to realize it when you don't have a wake-up call. But yeah, everyone is so obsessed about themselves that honestly don't worry about what they think. It's just stories in your head.
Absolutely. And I think the important thing is that I had a nice quote last days, and the quote said, nobody's getting alive of this life. Nobody's getting out alive. Nobody. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do. Nobody gets out alive. And I think at least if you cannot make it longer, at least you have to enjoy it.
And on my website, I have a quote that I love. It's, we have two lives. And the second one starts when you realize you only have one. And that's what happened to me. I realized that I was only going to have one life. That death was a thing. And suddenly it's like, I better enjoy it. Like, it's cliche, like the whole YOLO. But it's true. But it's so true. Yeah, it's so damn true.
Correct.
And also, look around. Like, if you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. I don't care. I'm not going to blame you for not believing a stranger that you're finding on the internet. But I would tell people to look around. We all have someone in our life that is probably a little bit older, that now regrets not living a different life. Like, my dad retired in 2019. He thought that he would finally be able to enjoy life, whatever that means for him, right? And 2 years later, some shit happened that I don't want to get into, but that stopped him from living the retirement that I dreamed for his entire life. So for 40 years, he hated his job. He lived a life that honestly he didn't enjoy, with the goal of retiring one day and finally being able to, like, now I've got it. And when it was time, 2 years later, something happened and he wasn't able to do that. my wife's dad, Rosie's dad, worked his workaholic, worked his entire life like a crazy person, made a lot of money, great, got to travel, stuff like that, but obsessed with working, like working on Christmas Day, stuff like that. Like he loved what he was doing, but also like
Doesn't matter.
to a
Doesn't matter.
point. And when he turned 63, he had a health issue, like a stroke, and since then he's been forced to retire because he's now disabled, and he's never been able to enjoy his retirement. He always dreamed to go to India. He's never gonna go, and he worked his entire life to have a good retirement, save money, all that, and he was forced to retire because of his health. And now I think we can all have something similar around us. Like we all know this person that is not getting what they expected because they had a health issue, because they had a money issue, because they had a, I don't know, a divorce, a separation, a death, whatever it is. And I think if you ask old people, like 70 plus, I would say, they usually tend to say, enjoy your life. They don't tell you should work more.
There is no one that on his deathbed said, I didn't work enough.
No. Like,
no. Yeah.
So, listen to that. There's a reason they say that.
The amazing piece of advice. I have to say this amazing piece of advice as someone that is around you. Ask what they regret the most. As someone which is close to their, or maybe in retirement, ask them what they regret the most, and you will always hear the same answer.
Yeah, and I even challenge you to do this exercise. But sit down, grab a pen and a paper, and really like be honest with yourself. It's like, if I tell you that you're going to die tomorrow, are you going to be happy of the life that you lived so far? Or would you have regret that you have not done things differently? And
for sure.
And if you think that, and if you would have done things differently, what would you have done? And now, I'm going to tell you, okay, you're not going to die tomorrow, so start living it now. This life that you just wrote down on a piece of paper.
Absolutely. I have to say one of the reasons that why I'm doing this, what I'm doing now, this podcast was exactly this, because I think about it since some years, and I always, there is never the right moment. You said before, there is never the right moment for anything.
Yeah.
For anything. There is no moment in which all the stars are aligned and they say, from today you start to do sports.
Yeah, you'll never be ready.
No, never.
Just do it.
Exactly. And then I started before Christmas last year, and I just started out of the sudden, out of the impulse, and I have 27 episodes published, and I think another 10 or 12 that I recorded already. So, but I'm fully with you. Jeremie. An amazing piece of advice, really, and I can only recommend it to everyone. Try to enjoy what's left of it. It's not much. How does your daily life look? How did today look like for you?
Well, today was like a working day, so I didn't leave my apartment today. I've been inside working on my laptop all day, to be honest.
Let's take a different one.
No, but it's also something to. If you go on Instagram and you type digital nomad, it looks like very glamorous, right? It looks like everyone is in Bali, surfing in the morning, then walking from a cool cafe with a view and a cocktail for like 3 hours, trading some crypto or doing strange shit. And then they go to like a sunset pool party, and then, whatever. Like that's what you see on Instagram. It's not like that. I mean, for very few, most of the time, it's not like that. I would say that I actually live a very regular life, in a sense that, I rent normal apartment. I tend to cook my own food most of the time. We work every day. The main difference is how I use my free time. When you're not working, you're probably scrolling on your phone, taking care of your kids, watching Netflix, spending time with your neighbors, spending time with your family, or cleaning the house, cleaning the garden, fixing something that's broken, and all that. when I have free time, I visit a new city and a new country rather than doing all that. That's the main difference actually between a regular life and my life. My life is not crazy. I don't see. I don't. It's not a roller coaster, and it's not like an emotional thing. It's not Instagram. It's just my free time. I use it to visit new places and experience and create new memories. That's the main difference, and that's what more people don't get, I think.
Jeremie, I love your honesty. I love the fact that you don't come to bullshit to say, you know what, everything is milk and toast and honey, and there is no bad day and there is no working day, that they don't exist. And I usually, you know what, I worked today 20 minutes, I made like 20,000 euros, and now I can move
I
on
wish.
to it.
I'll come back on a podcast when that happens.
But I love your honesty. I love the fact that you are saying, you know what, you still have to work, you still have to do your chores, you still have to do everything that you are doing today. But with two exceptions, you get to visit a new place every once in a while, and that's amazing. And second, maybe you do something you actually enjoy. Exactly that's the difference.
And also after, like, there's also something about that is that we get to pick where we live because of this lifestyle, the freedom that we have, and it's a balance. It's not always the case, but sometimes you can also take advantage of the cost of living being lower to also have a better quality of life for less money, right? So sometimes you can also enjoy things that you would not be able to enjoy if I was in France, like going to a specific restaurant, so having someone cleaning my apartment every week would just cost me too much money. But when I am in Asia, I can afford to do that because of just the different cost of living.
Correct.
And then again, the thing is, like, when you live in a house and you have, it's interesting. Regular life creates a lot of anchor in your life. When you have a house, you have a mortgage. Like, you lose freedom. You don't realize that, but you lose a lot of freedom because tomorrow you can't just say, "Hey kids, we're packing the bags and we are going to Bangkok for 1 year." Like, no, like, your kids are at school, you have a mortgage that you have to pay, so somehow you need to pay for that. You have a house, you have a car, you have all these things to say. But, like, I got rid of everything that I own. I have 2 backpacks. My wife has 2 backpacks. So we have nothing holding us back. So we can change plan on the snap of a finger and decide to be anywhere we want tomorrow, for good and for bad also, right? That means also we can be here for people when they need us, which happened quite a lot, actually. We've been able, to use this freedom for good, but also to use it when, a family member calls you and he says, like, I don't know, last time was Rosie's brother was moving house. He wanted help. We changed our plan and we stay with them for like 2 or 3 weeks to like do some moving and construction and looking after the dogs and all that. Now we can afford to be flexible because we don't have any roots and anchors holding us back.
You got no roots. There is a song, and this makes the fun of it. Is there a place that you guys visited when you paused and thought, I could live here for a longer time?
Yes, many times. Many times. I think there's 2 mainly. There's 2 countries that we could see ourselves like living for 1 year or more even. Is Thailand and Mexico.
Oh, such a opposite places on this earth.
But both of them for very different reasons are fantastic countries, and we really enjoyed our time there. And we spent 5 months. I've only been to Mexico once, but we stayed for like 5 months and visited like so many places. But we've been to Thailand like 3 times, and every time we go, we are like, oh, I could live here.
Nice. Yeah. I think it's the second time when I hear that about Thailand. You're not the first one saying that in the podcast.
I really enjoy it, and well, I mean, we are actually considering moving to Thailand next year and spend 1 year in Bangkok next year. It's in the talk.
It's in the plan.
Yeah. So
Jeremie, you mentioned work, and I think it's worth mentioning that you are helping others now. Not as a guru, I would just like to say. I knew I could do just this joke. But how did coaching and consulting came into picture?
It's not something that I planned, to be honest. I kind of fell into it in a way. Since I'm gonna explain. So when I left my job in 2021, when we left Miami, and from then until very recently, until a few months ago, I've been working in the yoga industry online. So I had an online yoga platform where we were providing yoga classes and meditation classes and stuff like that. And then eventually we morphed the business into more of a school where we were providing trainings to help people to become yoga and meditation teachers and stuff like that. And that was a business that I had with a friend in Miami. It was fully online, fully remote. We built the business from the ground up to be remote and location independent. So I've been doing that for, since 2021 to early this year. So like 4 years roughly. And that was my main source of income for 4 years. That's how I've been making money and traveling and all that. And in the job that I had in France and in Miami, and then doing that, I realized that I've developed some specific skill sets around operation. About I'm a very organized person naturally, and if I apply this organization and my rational mind to business and operation and strategy and decision making and how a business run, all the boring stuff that usually people don't like, I tend to be good at that and I tend to enjoy that. All the back end that people don't like to take care, all the tech also, because I'm a nerd, so I like to keep up with tools and stuff like that. So I realized that that's what something I'm good at. That's something that I enjoy, and that's something that people tend to ask me advice for. And when the yoga school terminated a few months ago, when we were wrapping up this business, because we were at the point where we need a shift, I assessed my skill set. I assessed what was going on around me, or what I was good at, what I was enjoying, what were people coming to me for. And I realized that the obvious answer was doing consulting and helping. Usually what I enjoy doing is helping like solopreneur, people just working for themselves, such as like creatives, like photographer, coaches, trainers, stuff like that. People that have, a specific skill set, a craft, they're good at what they do, they're expert, but they hate everything around the business, like everything around it, like having a website and dealing with finding the right tools. And when they try to do something, it's going to take them 2 hours because they do everything manually. And I arrive and I get a software and I do it in 10 minutes. And they're like, oh, I hate you. And for me, this is the fun part, right? So I love doing it. So yeah, I realized that I could help people with that, because this and also the reason I realized is like, this is the definition of my wife, Rosie. She's like that. She's a creative, and I always help her with all this stuff. And I was like, there's plenty of Rosie in the world who could need my help. So that's how there you go. So that's how I developed the consulting. And then when I was putting this offer together and really thinking what would that look like, I also realized that my personal story, everything that I've been sharing, I could also help people, not just with the business, but also with the personal life. And because, I think I don't like to say that I have an inspiring story, but, I don't consider...
But
I don't consider myself special, in the sense that I don't think I'm more intelligent than most people. I've never had more money than anyone, but I'm living a life that a lot of people are dreaming about. And I was able to do that because of something very bad happening to me. And I was able to gain some awareness and step away from the traditional path because of what happened to me. And I think I can use this lived experience to help others live the life that they dream also. So this is something that I'm just passionate about because, you know, I made it myself. So I want to help others doing that.
You guys have had an impressive experience and a powerful experience on all the levels, and you lived the life that 95% of this world is dreaming of, and you realize that is not what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It was not what you wanted to be. And I think that's the most important thing that you have to be able to find a way to tell people, that running for a dream that is not yours will not make it yours if you catch it.
Yeah. And
Never.
it will actually make you sad at some point and you will regret it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And resentment also. Yeah.
If someone is watching this, Jeremie, and they feel like they are at the crossroad, where they are stuck in a job that gives food, and gives a good life for the family, but they don't like it, and they always dreamed of living the life that you are living, what would be the first piece of advice that you would give them? Just one.
Yeah. Well, first, if you made it through an hour and 50 minutes, thank you. I'll be.
It didn't look like a 1 hour and 50 minutes, I have to be honest.
My first piece of advice is something that we kind of touched upon, but for me, there's two things. You cannot force someone to change, for a start. Change has to come from within. You need to have the willingness to change something. And I think to have that, the first step is awareness. You need to be aware that the life that you want is not fulfilling you, even if it's comfortable, because, you know, you can make good money, you can have a lot of things on the outside that looks great, but you're not feeling fulfilled inside you. You need to have the awareness of that. A lot of people just don't question it. A lot of people say, like, I feel like shit, but I don't know why. I hate my life, but I don't know why. And they stop there. They don't analyze anything. And stepping into, like, developing this self-awareness of, like, okay, I'm feeling this way. What's happening? This, that. And realizing that, okay, the problem is that I have this good life on paper. I love my partner. I love my kids. I'm glad I'm making this much money, but I feel empty inside and I feel stuck and I don't want to do that anymore. You know, don't blame yourself. Develop the awareness to understand how you got there, how you got here, what happened to you. You're going to realize that most of the time it's not your fault if you're in this situation. It's just a consequence of choices that you made through your life that were actually driven by society and by the system that I was talking about. And from a very early age, when you didn't have much control on your life, you were put on those rails, and it's very hard to get out of them once you're on it. And, you know, you can decide sometimes if you're taking left or right. You can drive the train, but you're still stuck on those trail. And you have this false sense that you're in control, but you're not. And developing the awareness is key, because then you're going to understand, I think, how this whole conditioning works. And once you understand that there is so many pieces of the puzzle that are, like, pulling the strings, I think you stop feeling bad about your situation. You don't blame yourself for being where you are. And it gives you space to accept who you are as a person, to make peace with yourself. And then from there, when you're not in a place of, like, hatred and sadness and conflict within yourself, then you can start, like, dreaming and building this life that you dream, and you can work on that. But first you need to, like, give yourself a break and stop feeling like a failure or whatever. And that starts with awareness. Step one is being aware of everything happening.
Such a good piece of advice. One thing that I have to mention, as I said at the beginning, I have a 7-year-old son who's soon gonna start on these rails that you were mentioning about.
Yeah.
And this is something, of course, I'm living in Germany. There is no option to decide that you are homeschooling or something like this because it's a world who's not allowing this. And I'm not judging this, don't get me wrong. It's my choice that I'm here. So that's not something that I'm not here to change the world. But it's one thought that I have in my head is if this school system, doesn't matter if in which country is the right system, that is the right school system that should be teach today, where there's no focus on your feelings, where there's no focus of you trying to be happy, where there's only focus on performance of doing the right thing, learning the right stuff, behaving in a certain amount of rules, not going out of those rules, so that you are the perfect citizen, like you said before. That's a thought that is in my head since a few months, more than a year, and I have to say it's not something that is giving me a good sleep at night.
Thank you for sharing that. No, I totally understand what you mean, and we still don't have children. I don't think we'll, but like I always wonder if I had a child right now, I don't know how I would navigate that. I'm with you on that. I don't know what I would do because I don't think the educational system that we have anywhere, Europe, US, is the same everywhere. Same but different, but the same. Like we all create good citizens, and yeah, there's no place for individuality. There is I've read an article a few years ago. It was fascinating. There was this study done over like 20 or 30 years, and they somehow tried to measure creativity on people based on like some tests. And they follow like the same group of kids and then adult for 30 years, trying to measure the creativity. And when they were like kids, very young, the creativity was very high. And as they go through the system, it just drops. And they all basically become the same people. Like you lose your individuality, you lose what makes you unique as a child. You lose everything that makes you different. And you're just shaped into this mold that is just trying to create like the good citizen. And it's very interesting. And when your kids spend anywhere between 4 and 7 hours at school every day, I don't know how, as a parent at home, you can fight that to make them. Yeah, I don't have the answer, but I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one, and I think it's a hard one for everyone who's able to think outside of this box that we are placed in.
I know some schools are trying to do better, right, with like Montessori system and stuff like that, but also those private schools are very expensive, so it's complicated, and they don't go too far also in the educational system. So
I have the adventure of being in a private work sponsored school, which has a really good system. It has a bilingual system. He's learning English and German, but still I see the patterns. Still they are using the same teachers that they are in the normal schools. Still they are and this is they are not the teachers to blame. They're just part of the system. And this is really important to say. It's not. I'm not blaming anyone. It's just the system which is weird. But it's an interesting decision that we all have to take.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I would kindly ask you to at the end of the discussion. We are not at the end. I still love it. I don't care that we have 2 hours into it. I still love it, and I hope you can still give me some minutes. Jeremie, maybe when we finish this, you are so kind to send me your details, like your website, your social media, so I can link them in the show note description so that everyone can have them if they want to contact you. But I have some reflections for the end, and maybe there are some questions. I don't necessarily wait a direct answer, but I would like to have let's say the simple answer as possible.
Okay.
What does freedom means to you today?
Oh, I love the topic of freedom. Okay, I'm gonna have to be concise. For me today, freedom is having the ability to decide that tomorrow or Monday I can be where I want, doing what I want without any compromises.
Freedom to choose.
Yeah, I have options and I have the freedom to make the choices that I want. And, that can be going to see my parents because there's something happening. They call me, hey, can you be home tomorrow? Yeah, sure. I can take a flight and go. It's having the freedom to take a Tuesday off just because I want. It's having the freedom to go to the beach when, everyone is working and to work when everyone is at the beach. It's having the freedom to wake up at 10 a.m. and start working at 6 p.m. if I want to until 2 a.m. just because I can. Yeah, that's freedom to me.
What's something that you still learn to let go of?
I'm still navigating. I don't know how to phrase it in a sense of like letting go of something, but I'm still navigating expressing my emotions and like verbalizing how I feel. And this is something that I still struggle, in the context of like, I don't know, my relationship with my wife or with other people, stuff like that. Like, I do struggle to express that. So I think it's letting go. It's usually when you can express your emotion, like me, is because you want to be seen of a certain way. You don't want to be seen as someone weak or someone that can feel like stuff like that. So I think it's a need to be in control and a need to look good that has an influence on like I can't let go of everything because you're gonna see me in a different way. I don't want that because you're gonna have that's something I'm much better at it, but I'm still navigating it, and I think it's going to be a lifelong journey for me.
I'll feel you. What's your favorite way to ground yourself when life gets overwhelming?
I meditate. That's my solution. I meditate. I sit down on the floor on a chair, close my eyes. Yeah. When I don't know, if we do something with my wife and we bicker, we have a little argument or something annoys me, I'm like, I'm going to the bedroom for 10 minutes to meditate. I'm going to the bedroom, I close the door, I sit down on the floor, I meditate, and I come back, and I'm usually okay.
What do you miss from friends or about friends?
Bread.
This is
That's my very honest answer.
this is a cliche topic in this getting a cliche topic in this podcast because bread is something that we talk in almost every episode. French bread and German bread.
There's nothing like it. You can pay the money that you want anywhere else. It's never the same. It's never as good.
I had someone who moved from US in France, and they were living in France, and I don't know. She said, so Adrienne said, there is only an amount of times when you can cut your mouth with the end of the baguette, but you still eat it because you love it.
Yeah, no, that's my honest answer, and I didn't have to think much about it, right? So
yeah, absolutely. That came really fast. One item you always pack with you no matter the destination.
My Kindle. I didn't grow up as a reader. I started reading when I was in Paris, so when I was like 23 years old. That's when I started reading books. But since then, I've been reading very, very constantly, anywhere between 10 and 25 books per year. And yeah, I always travel with my Kindle. It's so small that fit in my pocket, and I can read wherever I am, in transport, at the beach, anywhere. And I always have hundreds of books in my pocket, which I love. Yeah, it is. I broke my Kindle once at the airport, and I just went to a shop and buy a new one straight away. Like,
That's
I
freedom.
replaced it in 5 minutes. Yeah.
That's freedom. That's something that is freedom. Please tell us the last book that you read.
I can tell you the one I'm reading right now.
Like this.
I am currently reading a series. I am in a 6th book of the Mistborn series from Brandon Sanderson. It's a fantasy author. I got into his universe 3 years ago, and in 3 years I've read, I think, 24 of his books. I went down into the rabbit hole. Yeah,
that's a productivity.
Yeah, I love it. I was looking. I am like a Harry Potter fan. I was looking for like something with magic and dragons or whatever, and someone recommended him and his books, and I've been hooked since then and completely addicted to them.
Jeremie, I have no words to thank you for being so open today.
No, thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. It was for me a roller coaster. You mentioned 1 hour 50. I haven't realized it. I usually always keep the time in I just look, because there are some discussions which are running good. There are some discussions which are running hard, and there are some guests who are open, who are not open, and that's why I always keep the time on the clock. But I got so in the story that I was out of the human of the human world. I have to say it like this. And I have to ask you, would you please share when people can find your work, your newsletter, your story, I don't know, your podcast, everything that you want to share, please?
Yeah, I mean, everything is centralized on my website. It's jeremieandre.com. So JeremieAndre.com. Everything is there. My Substack newsletter, the work that I do, the few social media accounts that I use are there. So yeah, one destination.
Perfect. One final thought to leave our listeners with.
One final wise word.
It doesn't have to be wise. You said a lot of. You said too many wise things today.
I would keep it consistent with everything that I said, but when you're on your deathbed, you're not gonna remember going to the office. You're not gonna remember all the good work that you did, and they're not gonna remember it neither, by the way, because they don't care about you. You're gonna remember the experience. You're gonna remember spending time with people. You're gonna remember what you felt when you've been somewhere, or when you, got married, or when you had your child, or when you did this skydive or whatever. So, live more moments like that, because that's what matters in life, not the certifications, not the salary, not the title. You can be a director of what you want, but you might still be miserable. And that's not, think of like what you want people to remember the day you die. And that's what you should be focusing your life on from now on.
Thank you, Jeremie. I hope we can do this again one day. And if you feel like it, just drop me an email. You have my email address now, and I will be more than happy to talk to you again.
I would love to as well. I can talk. That's fine.
That's
and
perfect.
You too, so.
we are on the same page.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening. Talk to you soon, Jeremie, I hope.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.